Now, if you see such a wordy problem right at the start of the test, this is question number 1, you just want to look at the questions here. If the customer asks the painter to use a more expensive brand of paint, so now you've got this equation n times k times l times h. That's the amount of money that the painter is going to charge. So which of these are dependent upon the paint? This depends on the wall. This depends on dollars. This depends on the length of the wall, and this is the height of the wall. So this is all related to the wall, and it's fixed. The only thing that changes is the dollars per square foot, and so K is your answer. Now here's a quick question for you. We're just going to modify this. You have a building, and then the painter fees are n times k times l times h. And suppose there are maybe 5 buildings. There are 5 buildings of the same type. Then how would you change this formula? This n times k times l times h, there are 5 identical buildings. What number are you going to put inside here for this new formula? In case of one building, you have 5 buildings. So post your answers. This should be good practice for you for this similar type of the SAT problem. The number of the SAT problem is 2, so it should be a super easy problem. You've got 3r is equal to 18. Then what is 6r? Just multiply this by 2. So you multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. This becomes 3 times 2 is 6, right? You just doubled it. 6r is equal to 36. And then you add a 3. That gives you 39. Easy. That's this answer. No need to find the r, just multiply by 2 and add a 3. All right, now you try this problem. Instead of this part, what is the value of 6r minus 9? Remember, just multiply by 2, subtract by 9, and you should get one of these answers. So let me know what the answer is. Okay, this is a fractional exponent, and to convert it into these radicals, you just want to remember this one idea. You got a, you take the numerator, just leave it here, and inside the cradle of this radical, you put this 3. So this 3 goes right inside here. So remember, this remains here, and this goes in here. Okay, and so therefore, T is your answer. Now it's your turn. How about this radical form? How can you convert it to a fraction? This is equal to what over what? So let me know in the comments what this value is going to be. So let's move on. Very easy problem for you, I think. Look at the number of this problem. If it's 4, the problem is actually quite easy. So let's start it. So from they're given these number of states, right, from 1776 to 1849. So in 1776, from this time to 1849, you had a certain number of states here. These joined, right? And you're told that 30 states actually joined. So there are 30 states here. So that's 30. Then from 1850 to 1900, so here 1850 to 1900, how many states joined? X states joined. So this number of states that joined is X. And now the connection between them is the number of states that joined the United States between 1776 and 1849, which means this number is, and the is the math, in math it means equals twice the number of, so that means twice x. So therefore it's 30 equals 2x, and so you get 30 equals 2x, and that's your answer. Now you try this problem, but instead of twice, I'm going to make this half. So try the same problem. One of these answers is going to work. So the number of states in here is half the number of states in between 1850 and 1900. So let me know what the answer is. I'll be waiting. There's an important SAT learning here. When you've got 2 bars like this, you simply cross multiply them, which means this times this. So you take 5 from here, copy down x plus 20 here, then copy down the equal to sign, and this times this gives you 15x. Then you just distribute this. You get 5x plus 100 is equal to 15x, right? Then you subtract the 5x from both sides, and so you get 100 is equal to 10x. And so then you divide by 10, you get x is equal to 10. That's the answer. Oh no, that's not the answer actually, because you've got x over 5 that they're asking. This is a very important thing to remember, that choice A could be incorrect because they're asking x over 5. And what is x over 5? You divide by 5 on both sides, you get x is equal to 2. And so this is your answer. Now this is a very important SAT shortcut. Remember, what you need to do is you're given, not asked for the values of x or y. What you're asked are the values of this important combined equation. So let's call it like a combo, a combination equation. So how do you do this? Super easy. The first thing you want to do is just simply add them. Okay, just add them. So what do we get when you add them? Directly you add them. 2 plus 3 gives you 5x. 3 and 2 gives you 5, but with a negative sign. And then this part added gives you 14 plus 6 is negative 20. right? Now, how do you connect this to this? You can see there's an extra 5 here. So you divide by 5 on both sides and divide by 5 on all these sides. So you get x, and then you put a y, because 5 and 5 cancel out. 5 and 5 cancel out. You only have a y and a y here. So x minus y is equal to negative 20 over 5. Copy down the negative sign, it's a negative 4. And there you go. That's your answer. Super easy, very, very important strategy. And the answer is negative 4. All right, this time, instead of this, we've got these two equations. You've got this one, 3x minus 2y, and then the second one. And remember, what you're asked is, what is the value, again, of x minus y? So you want to find out what is x minus y equal to. So how do you solve it? You, of course, are going to add these, and then is equal to blah, blah, blah over here. You divide by the number, and you're immediately going to get x minus y. So post your answers in the comments, and let's see how quickly you're able to solve this now. This will save you so much time on your actual SAT test. This is an important conceptual problem, so you want to understand this SAT logic here. Okay, so what you're told is the x and then the f of x, which means it's just a y value, right? F of x is just a fancy name for y. You just plot them. 0, 3 is here, 2, 1. So 0, 3, this you take over here, 2, 1 over here, 4, 0 over here, and then 5, negative 2 over here, right? And then it's a function, so it could be like some kind of a strange function like this, right? But the main idea is it crosses the x-axis here, right? And anything that crosses the x-axis, right, you will say it's a factor like this, x minus 4, because you got a 4 here, just put the 4 inside here. The factor is always going to be x minus this value, the x-intercept, right? This is the x-intercept. Why? Because the y value is 0. So this is the x-intercept here. So x minus 4. And so therefore, this is your answer. Remember, the main idea is if f of 4 is equal to 0, this part, right, then x minus 4 is a factor of the function. All right, I'm going to change the problem now. I'm going to make this, instead of 4, I'm going to make it a 3. So that means now you want to find out what is the factor. So what do? You have f of 3 is equal to 0, right? Because f of this 3 is equal to 0. And so therefore, what is the factor here? So post your answers. I think it should be easy for you to understand this problem now. So there are two parts to this problem, two learnings. What is the slope of this line? And this is the line here. As soon as you see slope, you want to think about y is equal to this part x plus another part, right? It's the mx plus b. So what is the m here? If you compare it here, the number in front of x is the slope. So there basically is the SAT code word for asking what is k equal to, right? What is k equal to? That's the first part. And the second part is, now a lot of this unnecessary information is given, but what it is needed is, if you see this kind of a point and a line, you simply plug it in. Just simply plug it in and see what happens. So how do you plug it in now? Remember, you've got c as the x value and then d as the y value. So replace the x with c, replace the y with a d. So let's just do that. We can do it right away over here. You've got the y is equal to kx plus 4. So I'm going to write down d. I put this d in here. I write down d is equal to c times, copy down the k. There's no need to change the k. Only the x part is going to go and going to get replaced with c. So k c plus 4. That's a very important strategy. Many times you have a curve and a point. Just put it in. You don't even have to worry about it. And then you want to find k. So now how do you find the value of k? So if you want to find k, you want to subtract 4 first. So you subtract 4 from both sides. You get d minus 4 is equal to kc. And then the final thing is you want to find out k. So what do? You divide by c because it's multiplied, right? You divide by c, and then this is gone. And there you go. D minus 4 over c is your answer. Now you try to solve this problem, but only in this problem, I'm going to change this c and d. I'm going to flip them. I'm going to put d and c like this. So what do you do now? Which of these answers would work? So you can either do it super fast using a very easy shortcut, right? Just flip them, or you can plug it in. So you just plug this inside here. Remember, this time d is x and c is y. So you get c is equal to kd plus 4, blah, blah, blah. And then you will be able to find the answer. So post your answers. I think this is a very solid problem for you to memorize. It's really going to help you to understand these double ideas of finding the slope and also identifying this value of k. Equations having no solution. I get very excited when I see this problem because that means very few people are able to solve this, and this will immediately boost your score. So how do you do this? You have these two equations, and this is obviously called the system of equations, and then you want to find the answer for which this has no solution. Really what it means is it has no solution means they are parallel to each other, right? But there you don't need to go into so much math. You only need to do one thing. You take this k and 4, just write it down here. Then take the -3 and -5 and write it down here. Don't write the x values or the y values, right? You just have this, and then just put a bar in between them and then just set them equal to each other. So that means you just do cross multiplication. So k times -5, so you get -5, and then 3 times -4 gives you -12. And so what do? You divide by -5 on both sides. You get k is equal to -12 over -5. And negatives cancel out to give you a positive 12 over 5. And that makes it choice A as your answer. Remember, you don't even need to write it. Actually, you can even cross multiply. K times -5 is 4 times -3. And then you got your answer. All right, a quick practice problem for you. Now, instead of this, let's try to solve this one. You do the same thing. This times this is equal to this times this. As easy as that. And then one of these choices is going to give you the answer. Obviously, this is out. So one of these three choices is going to give you the answer. Just cross multiply and find the answer. Remember, you have to find the value of k here. So post your answers and let's see how well and how quickly you can solve this. Usually it takes 30 seconds or 90 seconds. You will solve it in less than 10 seconds now. Okay, as soon as they say parabola, I kind of at least draw a little bit of this. So in the xy plane, the parabola with this equation intersects the line y is equal to 25. Remember, y is equal to 25 means it's a horizontal line like this. Okay, and when it says intersecting, that's the SAT code word for this is equal to this, which means you just simply write down x minus 11 squared and set it equal to 25. When it's intersecting, that's what it means. Okay, and then what do? You do case 1, case 2. So the case 1 is x minus 11 is equal to, how do you solve this? You simply take the square root of that. Don't try to expand it. Simply take the square root of it. So the square root of a square cancels everything out. So what do you get? You just get x is equal to x minus 11, and then the square root of 25 is 5. That's one case. And then the second case here is x minus 11 is equal to, is the same thing here, except you put a -5 here. All right. Now you just add 11 to both sides. So what do you get? X is equal to 16. And then here you add 11 to both sides, you get x is equal to 11 minus 5, which is 6. So you got 16 here and 6. So what are these two parts? This is the first step of this problem. Okay, you found out the intercepts. So you will simply plot them here. You've got 6 and 16, and of course the y-intercept for both of them is 0. It's not important, but it's here. Okay, now what they're saying is this is A and this is B. Now what is the length of AB? Super easy. What's the length between these two guys? Because it's a horizontal line, the length is just 16 minus 6, which is 10, and 10 is your answer. Now instead of x minus 11 squared, I'm just going to make this x minus 10 squared. X minus 10 squared here, right? Otherwise it's the same problem, and instead of 25, I'm going to change this and make it 49, which means this is y is equal to 10, y is equal to x minus 10 squared, and this value here, this line is y is equal to 49. So how do you solve this? Just set them equal the same way. X minus 10 squared is equal to 49, which means you're going to have two cases. Blah 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 is equal to x, blah 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 is equal to -7 plus 7 and minus 7. You're going to get these values here when you solve it fully, and then this length should be the difference between them. Okay, so solve your answers, find the answer, post your answers. I think solving and just not watching but solving actually helps a lot. Okay, this is question number 11. So it is indeed a little bit challenging to solve this problem. Remember, what you've gotten is x plus y is equal to u plus v, and I've written this over here. It's just an equation. Now, the other thing you want to think about whenever you have these angles, etc., is vertical angles. So what are vertical angles? Let's just write down an important vertical angle, and that is y is equal to u. Why is that? The reason is you have these two parts, these two lines, and so this angle should be equal to this angle. That's a very important property, and so I'm just going to write down y is equal to u. Now what do I do? I just subtract them. So when I subtract them, these cancel out, these cancel out. So what's left is x is equal to w. Right? Very easy. X is equal to w. Now also at the same time, think about this line and this line here. So x is equal to, can you guess what's this other one here? It's again vertical, right? Because they are on opposite sides. So x is equal to t. So I'm going to write this down over here. X is equal to t. And then for the w, what's the vertically opposite angle to w? So here's w. Look at this part here. You've got w is equal to z. So I'm just going to write down this is equal to z. So automatically you've got this long set of equations. T and x, w and z are all the same. All right, now we're going to start looking at these choices. So x is equal to z. What do you think? Looking at this, yes, it is equal because they are both equal. All four of them are equal to each other, right? So x is equal to z. So therefore, this works. So x is equal to z works. Now let's look at y is equal to w. Do you see y is equal to w here? It doesn't. And then here as well, x is equal to w. The only thing that y is equal to is u. And so therefore, choice 2 is out. And then z is equal to t. What do you think? Z is equal to t again over here, right? So these are also equal. So this is out and these two are equal. So 1 and 3, that means 1 and 3 only are the correct choice. Now here's a challenging problem for you and let's see if you can solve it. What if the value of x is equal, to 40? Then what is the value of t? X is 40, t is also 40, w is 40, and z is 40. My question for you is what is the value of y? So post your answers. Remember, you can think about it like this. This is 40, this is 40, so the value of y is how much? So let's see if you can solve this problem and find the value of y. Anytime the SAT gives you this kind of an equation, remember it's got two factors and it's a quadratic equation. The purpose is that you set this equal to 0. And once you set this equal to 0, you can immediately take this value and the negative of this value, and they are the intercepts. So what is the intercept? So you said basically x minus 2 is equal to 0. You take x is equal to 2. And then you can take x plus 4 is equal to 0, and therefore x is equal to negative 4. Remember, all I'm doing is I'm taking this value, setting it to be equal to 0, this value, setting it to be equal to 0. And so what are the two values? I get negative 4 and 2. That's the first step. Anytime you see this, that's the first thing you'd want to do without even doing anything else. The second step is you want to find out what is the vertex, and that's also part of this particular equation. This is called, by the way, the intercept form, and there are three forms. In one of the other videos we've explained what are the other two forms, but this one, the purpose of this is just to find the intercepts, negative 4 and 2. And then because negative 4 and 2 are here, the vertex, the x coordinate of this, it passes through this point, all of these points. The x is going to be midway between this and this. So what's the midpoint of this? The midpoint of this is negative 4 plus 2 divided by 2, which means you take this number, add them, divided by 2. So you get negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So therefore, this value is negative 1, and this value is whatever it is, right? So what they're asking us now is you got a negative 1 here. They're asking us what is actually this value. So the graph of the equation is a parabola with the vertex CD, and what is the value of D, which means what is the value of the y-intercept. So you found the x-intercept. Super easy to do this. Now you simply want to replace it inside here. So how do you replace it? You just write down y is equal to a times and just plug it in. So this part over here, you said x minus 2, so you've got x is equal to negative 1, so you put down negative 1 minus 2, and here you got negative 1 plus 4, right? So negative 1 minus 2 is equal to, and of course don't forget the a, you want to write down negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3, and negative 1 plus 4 is positive 3. So negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9a. Negative 9a is the answer. So this is probably the hardest problem on the no calculator section of this test, but the answer is negative 9a over here. I'm going to change this problem just a little bit. I'm going to make this x plus 2 now. So you've got x minus 2, x plus 2. Now what is the value of d? Of course, what you want to do is you set both of these to be equal to 0. So x minus 2 is equal to 0, x plus 2 is equal to 0. And then what are the values that you get here? You're going to get two values, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Then find the one that's in the middle, right? So remember, I'm going to even actually tell you this answer, which is negative 2 and positive 2. Then what is the crucial point is what is the x coordinate? It's the average between these two. So whatever value you get, then plug it back in here. Don't forget the a. So it's going to be equal to a value times a. And my question for you is, what is that value here? Remember, there's also a negative. It's going to be a negative number. So post your answers. I think if you're able to solve this problem, then guaranteed you will have boosted your score by a lot of points. So remember, solve this, and if possible, post the answers in the comments, and let's move on to the next one.